It's 9:30 in the morning, and the sun still hasn't risen. What is going on? Well, this is a normal thing if you live in certain parts of China. The internet says it's true. Well, hello. Welcome back to The Internet Says It's True, where every week we learn something that sounds like I just made it up, but it's really true. Part of the WCBE podcast experience. My name's Michael Kent. Welcome back. Episode 272. Well, I really appreciate you all joining the Patreon. I really do. It's patreon.com/Michael Kent. And I wanted to give you places where you could, talk back to this podcast and talk to each other about some of these episodes. So that's what the Patreon is. It's the place for Tiziters, which is what we call our listeners here. So it's patreon.com/Michael Kent. You can join at any level, even if you just want to do $1 a month or whatever. And for that, you get all kinds of bonuses. So go do that now. If you join at the gold level, you get a free book. I wrote a book last September called The Internet Says It's True, Stories That Sound Made Up But Aren't. That's available on Amazon or wherever you buy books. It's also available in a few bookstores now. I've gotten some pictures of different places where they're carrying that book. And, search for it. There's links in the show notes. We don't have to talk about this stuff. Just read the show notes. Let's talk about time. If you listen to last week's episode with Tanya Vora, she gave me a killer fact I'd never heard about before, so I started looking into it. We're talking about time, not time travel, not daylight savings time, just regular time zones. The invisible system that quietly keeps society from collapsing into chaos. Because most countries have several time zones. One country has 5, but they decided to use exactly 1. The first time you really notice time zones is usually on a road trip. You're driving west, you stop for gas, and suddenly your phone says it's an hour earlier than it was 5 minutes ago, and you feel like you just somehow cheated the universe, free time. Then you cross another state, you lose it again. It's kind of annoying, but it makes sense. The earth is round, the sun moves across the sky, and noon should roughly be when the sun is highest overhead. Time zones are just our way of keeping the clock loosely matched to that reality. Historically, that wasn't always the case. Because before standardized time, every town basically set its clocks by the sun. Noon meant high noon, simple. But when trains arrived in the 1800s and suddenly cities were connected by tight schedules, that system became a disaster. Cleveland might be 12 minutes ahead of Chicago. Buffalo might be 7 minutes behind. You can't run a railroad system like that. So the rail companies essentially said, we need order out of this chaos, and modern time zones were born. It was less about astronomy, more about avoiding collisions. Most countries adopted something similar. It was practical and logical, a compromise between the sky and society. And then there's China. Geographically, China is enormous, roughly as wide as the continental United States. If you laid it over North America, it would stretch across about 5 natural time zones. And for a while, that's exactly how it worked. Before 1949, China officially recognized 5 separate zones across the country, each aligned reasonably well to the local sun there. Then the Chinese Civil War ended, the People's Republic of China formed, and the new government decided something interesting. Rather than multiple zones, they would have one single national time. Every clock in the country would now follow the capital city's schedule. Beijing time, UTC plus 8. It sounds tidy and efficient, even maybe symbolic. One country, one clock. Everyone moving together, very Chinese. Except the Earth doesn't care about that symbolism. The sun still rises when it rises, right? Which means the farther west you travel, the stranger this decision becomes. In eastern cities like Shanghai or Beijing, the clock still feels normal. Morning light looks like morning light. Noon feels like noon. Nothing weird. But if you travel all the way across the country to the far western region of Xinjiang, thousands of miles away, the math breaks down completely. Astronomically, that region sits nearly 2 or 3 hours behind Beijing's solar time, but the clocks don't change. So what does that mean in real life? It means sunrise can happen close to 10 in the morning. It means winter mornings where it's still pitch black at 9 a.m. Kids head to school with headlights. Office workers commute under streetlights. And in the summer, sunset may not arrive until nearly midnight. You could eat dinner at 10:30 p.m. and still have daylight pouring through the window. This isn't myth or exaggeration, it's just geometry. Reporters from the BBC and the New York Times have documented exactly this kind of daily life. Residents describe mornings that feel like the middle of the night, and evenings that feel like the middle of the afternoon. Your body's internal clock gets confused, right? Because biology follows the sun, not the government. One local resident once summed it up simply by saying, "Beijing time is not our time." That sentence pretty much tells you everything. Because now the story stops being quirky, it starts being a little bit more political. In Xinjiang, many residents, particularly Uyghurs and other ethnic minorities, informally use something called Xinjiang time. It's 2 hours behind Beijing. It's not official, it's not recognized on government documents, but it's widely used socially. Restaurants post schedules based on that, and families plan around it. Conversations clarify whether you mean Beijing time or local time, which leads to this bizarre, everyday situation where two different clocks exist simultaneously. If someone says, "Meet me at 8, you have to actually ask, which 8? And that sounds like a comedy sketch, but that's real life. Government offices, trains, and official institutions, they still stick strictly to Beijing time. But markets and families often run on Xinjiang time. So if you're constantly transitioning, you might show up 2 hours early and then you look over eager, right? You show up 2 hours late and you miss your train. People learn to double check everything. And here's what fascinates me most about this whole situation. This wasn't done for convenience. It wasn't done for, like farmers or factory workers or sunrise optimization. It was just ideological. The decision was symbolic. A single unified clock reinforces the idea that the capital controls everything. Every schedule, every office, every train, every school day. It begins with Beijing. Time becomes political. Historians often point out that controlling time has always been a form of power. If you set the schedule, you set the rhythm of society. Work starts when you say it starts. Holidays happen when you say they happen. And every sleep bends to your authority, and China leaned fully into that idea. But you can't legislate sunrise. Human circadian rhythms don't read policy memos, so people adapt anyway. In Xinjiang, many businesses simply start later. Work might begin when the sun actually rises, regardless of what the official clock says it is. Dinner shifts later, bedtime shifts later. Life quietly bends back toward the sun, because biology always wins. After the break, we're going to get into what happens when two different time systems exist in the same place at the same time, how a dinner reservation becomes confusing, how train schedules become traps, and how something as simple as a clock on the wall can quietly reveal who's really in charge. Be right back. What if your kid could open a box and step into another century? With History Unboxed, they can. Each month, a new time-traveling adventure arrives at your doorstep, packed with hands-on projects, stories, recipes, and learning has never been more fun. No screens, no boring textbooks, just immersive, age-appropriate fun that makes history stick. Whether they're mummifying an apple like an Egyptian, or crafting medieval armor, or exploring the music of the Harlem Renaissance, they're not just learning about history, they're living it. Used by families, homeschoolers, and educators across the country, History Unboxed makes the past come alive with every box. I think it's amazing that I'm personally in my 40s and I'm still learning history every week. I wasn't interested in history as a kid, and I think that's because I didn't have something that made it fun. Things have changed since then. History Unboxed makes learning history engaging, fun, and hands-on in the comfort of your own home. So if your child loves to ask why and what was it like, this is the perfect way to fuel that curiosity. Ready to time travel? Sign up today by clicking the deals link in the show notes. There was a time that humans used 100% organic products as healing balms and moisturizers for their skin. Well, I've partnered with an awesome company that wants to get back to those times. Fatco sells organic and responsibly made tallow-based skincare products. For centuries, humans used tallow in skin moisturizers and healing balms, but unfortunately, the topical application of these fats seemed to stop around the same time that animal fats stopped being considered part of a healthy diet. A lot of modern skincare products do more harm than good by stripping your skin of its natural oils. Let's change that. You can try them out now at fatco.com and get 15% off your order by using my promo code INTERNET. Go to theinternetsaysitstrue.com/deals for the link. If you love listening to this podcast every week and you want to show your support, that would mean a great deal to me. You can do that by becoming a Patreon member. We've got members at all levels, whether you want to pledge $1 a month or $10 a month. Just think about the value that you receive from this show. And if you like the histories and the stories that you learn about or the jokes that you hear, and if you think that they're worth it, consider signing up. For that, you get every episode ad-free and a week early, access to bonuses like the unedited videos of the guest appearances, and 20% off all merchandise. You can sign up today at patreon.com/Michael Kent. That's patreon.com/Michael Kent. When you first hear about this concept of Xinjiang time, it almost sounds charming, like slang or a regional nickname. But the more you read, the more you realize it's not cute, it's necessary. If you don't use it, daily life becomes exhausting. Because your body thinks it's 1 hour, your watch says it's another, and the government insists on some sort of third interpretation. People learn to speak in code, local time versus Beijing time. Wedding invitations clarify which clock they mean. Businesses sometimes post dual hours. Taxi drivers double check. Tourists regularly mess it up. And because the region has a complicated political history, even mentioning Xinjiang time can carry sort of cultural weight. It's not just about convenience. For many residents, it quietly signals identity. Saying you live by local time is a way of saying your life doesn't revolve around a capital thousands of miles away. And time becomes a subtle form of resistance. Other countries have experimented with odd time decisions. Spain, for instance, uses a time zone that doesn't match its geography, which is part of why Spaniards eat dinner so late. Russians have tinkered with permanent daylight savings time. Samoa once skipped an entire calendar day just to align better with trade partners. Time is surprisingly flexible when politics get involved. But no country the size of China runs entirely on one official zone. It would be like forcing California to live on Eastern Standard Time. Imagine sunrise at 11 a.m. in LA. That's essentially what's happening in Western China every day. And yet millions of people simply live with it, which makes you realize something quietly profound. Time feels natural, but it's mostly a story we agree to believe. It's a social contract, a shared fiction that keeps trains running and meetings happening. China just chose a different fiction, one where unity mattered more than sunrise, one where every clock points to the capital. So if you ever find yourself in Western China and someone says, let's meet at 8, ask a follow-up question, because 8 might mean morning, it might mean darkness, it might mean sunset. And somewhere out there, a kid's walking to school under streetlights, checking a watch that insists it's daytime, waiting for a son that hasn't read the memo. The internet says it's true. It's time for Yap Yap. This is the part of the podcast where I call a friend. And today I'm calling my friend Dan Wilbur. Dan's been on the show many times, one of our favorite guests. He's a comedian. He's an author of the book Never Flirt with Puppy Killers. And his album, Husband Material, currently plays on Sirius XM. What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm happy to be here. And you know what? Every time I'm on, I feel it. I feel that level of desperation to win Trivial Pursuit, with my family. I get really pumped. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'm always happy to see you. But more importantly, I'm deeply competitive with myself, and I need to talk to a therapist about it.
No, that's a great thing. Probably not great for this podcast, but it's good in general in life.
I don't know what the theme is, so I'm going in blind.
That's true. No one does. That's how we do it. I love Jeopardy. I watch Jeopardy every day. I have been playing the Jeopardy iPhone game.
Oh.
Which is a great game, except the answers are multiple choice. Because, when there's a timer, no one has time to type in the thing, but
right.
The answers are multiple choice. And so I get a false sense of my ability, of my Jeopardy ability. Because when there are 3 possible answers, it's so much easier to know, because you know how Jeopardy is. If it's a really hard question, or a really hard answer, it will usually have a clue in the clue, right? It'll tell you.
Yep.
There'll be something, and that makes it so easy when there's multiple choice. Anywho, okay,
well,
let's get into this.
The old SNES game, you had to type it in, and I think they gave you a full 3 minutes.
Oh my
I'm trying
God.
to remember. I might go play it right after this.
Anxiety.
And it really felt bad. And if you misspell it, it's over because it's just a little cartridge game.
There used to be it was called like Jeopardy Play, and it interfaced with like an Apple TV app. You would play on your phone, and so you could type on your phone your answer, and I believe you may have even been able to do text to speech with it, or speech to text with it. But they discontinued it for whatever reason, and it was really cool because it was like a very interactive, like Alex Trebek era. Like he would come out and he would talk to you. It felt like you were on the show. It was great, but now all you have is this little app. So
no, you were probably the only one playing it, so they they shut it down.
Yeah, probably. All right, man. Did you happen to bring a fact with you today, something that we may have never heard?
Well, I've been recently obsessed. I did. Is it just if I lose?
No, for just.
You want me to just tell you right
general.
now?
Yeah.
I have become obsessed with Rod Serling of recent time. That is my new obsession.
Okay.
Rod Serling, who I have always loved the Twilight Zone, and there's plenty of Twilight Zone facts that I could spout out. I was at lunch with some people, and I was like, because Rod Serling wrote the first Planet of the Apes movie, and he made it, and everyone was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Yeah, Rod Serling made that, and I just started to list things that he made. The thing I didn't know, and this isn't really like a fun fact, was that before the Twilight Zone, Rod Serling had this awesome career. And he constantly fought censors to put out good progressive work. And so one of the things he did was right after it happened, he wrote a teleplay about Emmett Till.
Really?
And like the murder of Emmett Till. And he wrote this whole thing, and the censors were like, "You can't say the cops were bad." And he was like, "Well, this is what happened." And he got censored. And so my fun fact for everyone to know is that outside of the Twilight Zone and within the Twilight Zone, he was constantly censored, and he was constantly fighting TV execs. Like at one point, he tried to write about gas chambers, which is a very dark subject for TV. And a gas company said, "You can't say that they used gas." And he's like, "I'm talking about cyanide, not gasoline." And
so strange.
He was dealing with idiots all the time. But he's my new hero once again. He was my hero when I was 12 because I loved the Twilight Zone. But now he's my hero as this sort of progressive agent of television, making the best television show that's maybe ever existed. And he was constantly putting things in where he was like, "They're going to cut it, but it needs to be said." And he always lost. That's the thing that I learned about him. So this isn't like a fun party fact that you can just throw out. But I'm encouraging everyone to get into Rod Serling's work outside of the Twilight Zone.
That is super interesting, and I didn't know it. And it's the second week in a row we've had a topic that could lead to its own episode. I mean, that could be an episode in the future.
Today's a big long book.
Yeah. Today's topic came from last week. We had Tanya Vora, comedian, on the show, and she gave me this as her, fact I didn't know, and I was like, "That's a great episode." And normally I would just wait a little while, put it on the list, but I was like, I want to get into this. So, with that said, for this first question, we're going to play for a joke. If you get it wrong, you'll tell me a joke. If you get it right, I'll tell you one. We are not going to Milton Berle or the Friars Club Encyclopedia today because I've just been burned the last few weeks trying to find a good joke in there. It's been rough.
Too racist.
Yeah, honestly, sorry, I couldn't get this sentence out. Or they just don't make sense. Like they're so dated that no one talks that way anymore, and they don't make sense. So, here's your question: how many official time zones does China use today? Is it A, 3, B, 2, or C, 1?
Whoa, this is scary. Because I assume that China's big enough to have like 5. But if it's and I feel like 1 is too extreme. So I'm gonna go 2.
The answer, this is crazy, it's 1.
No!
It's 1.
That's crazy.
But let me tell you something, you're right about 5. China observes a single national standard time zone, it's known as Beijing time, despite spanning roughly 5 geographic time zones.
5 geographic time zones. That sounds about right.
Yeah, they're UTC plus 8 for the entire country officially.
I had a UTC plus 8. I saw a doctor about it.
Yeah, you get a little bit of antibiotic and that'll take care of your UTC. +8, more like +3. Come on.
+3, come on.
All
right. The only thing I could think of is that my friends and I would text each other around Thanksgiving trying to come up with the corniest like Thanksgiving jokes.
Yeah.
And so now the only joke that's in my head is like, how does a turkey waiter ask what people want to order off the menu?
Okay.
And it's that the turkey comes up and says, "What'll it be?" And that's it.
Boo.
That's the worst joke. Yeah, boo is right. So we would like come up with these ones and then like be mad at each other. So that's something you won't find in a joke book because it's not worth being in one.
I have a college friend, my friend Craig from college. 20, almost 30 years after college, the only way we communicate is through like dad jokes every once in a while.
Yeah.
And sometimes knock knock jokes that aren't knock knock jokes, like knock knock, who's there? How who? How you been, dude? It's been a while. Like like non-jokes. And that's literally how we talk. So that's how we communicate. I found a joke that I want to share, even though you got that one wrong. Vladimir Putin.
It'd be great if you would share another one because I think
this one
there's a bad taste in everyone's mouth. I'm sorry.
This one, I'm not sure if this is better or not. Vladimir Putin says to his assistant, "We need to change these time zones. They're giving me a big headache." And his assistant asks why. Putin says, "I called Beijing to give my congrats for their national holiday. They told me it's tomorrow. Then I called Warsaw to express my condolences for the airplane crash in Smolensk, and they told me the plane didn't take off yet." A joke about Putin bombing planes.
Oh, okay. All right. I just like
having plans to bomb planes.
I get it. I got it. Yeah, like oh man, I had a heart attack. And it, on the way down out of that 6-story building, natural causes. Right.
Okay, so for question 2, we're going to play for a plug for my new book on your next podcast.
All right.
What is your podcast?
It's called My New Thing. It's about obsessions because I'm going to turn 40 this year, and I don't know. I know you've been through it.
Yeah.
My life is a series of hobbies that come and go. So
that's ADHD. That's not age.
Yes. Well, I didn't used to be like this. I used to be
I've always
an obsessive
been like
person
this.
with one thing, and it was comedy. And now my buddy Zach and I have found that most of the comics our age, at least, have some new obsession.
Interesting.
Be it movies.
Do you think that's comics,
bands.
or do you just think that's people our age?
I think it's people our age.
Okay.
I think if you asked anybody, "Hey, what are you obsessed with right now?" instead of like, "Hey, where do you work? What do you do for fun?" Someone might start
That's a great question to ask people.
Warhammer. Yeah.
So it's such a great question to ask people. I love questions like that, like that get people. It breaks past the BS. Like that's. If you asked me that question, I would instantly be interested in that conversation because not only to tell you what my new current obsession is, but to learn about what yours is, I think is pretty cool. What is your current obsession?
Well, my current obsession, which we just spoke on the podcast, is that I've been watching a lot of movies and TV shows about the Cold War specifically. So every time the Cold War comes up in the Twilight Zone, like Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, where the Russians are, where the aliens are stand-ins for the Russians sabotaging suburban life. And when you read between the lines, it's actually very interesting. And it's because there was a time when there was a bad guy in the United States, and it was all of those people coming in here to sabotage us. And so I watched Saboteur by Alfred Hitchcock. I watched Torn Curtain, which is sort of a silly version of the whole thing. And I watched, and then I recently watched The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, which is a book I had also read by Le Carré, which is about communism and capitalism fighting with each other, is just like making us all little cogs, and like no one knows who's good and bad, and like it's murky and it's bad. It's like a bad scene, and I feel like we're actually getting closer to World War I levels, rather than post World War II. So if you're trying to see what history is going to rhyme right now, we're really in some scary territory. But the fun part is you can watch like real crazy movies that are about aliens, and you go like, well, that's clearly the Russians. They mean the Russians when they in The Thing from Another World, which is the original The Thing. That's about the Russians. It's not about aliens.
I don't think I knew that.
So
this is not film related, but documentary style. Have you listened to the podcast called Winds of Change?
No.
Oh, this is a great podcast. It is a serialized story, true story, about whether or not the theory. So there's a theory. The song Winds of Change by Scorpion, okay, the 80s ballad. The theory is that the CIA worked with Scorpion to plant that song to help bring down the Berlin Wall.
Now that's something that would add to this obsession.
Yes, it is an amazing listen. And I won't spoil it for you, but it's great. It's a start to finish one of those. I love podcasts that are like mystery-based podcasts that are about something that's not true crime. I love true crime, but when it's about not true crime, oh my God, I love that.
And I'm interested because every single pop song, I assume, is a psyop. Because I go, wow, I hate this, and then like years later, I'm like,
me to hate
man,
this.
I love this song. I love this. I'm part of it now.
All right. Well, we've digressed. Let's get back into the topic. Again, we're playing for a plug for my new book on your podcast. Which country skipped an entire calendar day in 2011 by moving across the international date line? Okay, so this is a country that moved across the international date line and in doing so, skipped an entire calendar day. Is it A, Samoa, B, Iceland, or C, Peru?
I'm the worst person for this because I'm bad at geography.
Yeah?
I don't know where the line is, nor do I. So it's Samoa or what is it?
Iceland or Peru?
I'm going to say Iceland. I think
answer
Iceland's right there in the middle.
Is Samoa.
Damn it.
There's no way anyone would know this unless you live there. Samoa jumped from December 29 directly to December 31st. And this was to better align business hours with Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah, they're just like,
good for them.
It reminds me of like, we have farmer time here. We have like daylight savings time here in America.
Yeah.
Different places don't observe it because they're smart. Yeah. But yeah, it reminds me of that. It's like time becomes this arbitrary thing that we can move around and it doesn't matter, which is crazy because the topic of this podcast is like China. There are places in China where, because of their national hours, they wake up and it's 10:30 p.m. or everywhere. Yeah. Like it's as if it would be 10:30. It's dark outside, and it's only going to get darker until noon or whatever it might be. It's such a strange way to live.
Right.
So you got that wrong. So your next episode of My New Obsession, is that what it's called?
It's My New Thing.
My New Thing. Sorry, My New Thing. Your next.
My New Obsession is your book.
My book. Yeah. You'll plug The Internet Says It's True, stories that sound made up but aren't. Mm-hmm. And you can talk about being on this podcast. Question 3, we're going to play for a sticker. It's 3 inches, it's square, and it's sticky, and you can only get them by joining the Patreon or winning this question or peeling them off of random things around Columbus, Ohio that I've put them on. Which one of these U.S. states spans 2 time zones? Is it A, New Mexico, B, Florida, or C, Vermont?
I'm so angry with myself. Okay.
You've been to all these places doing comedy.
I'm going to think about it. Yes. I know there's like some states in the middle of the country who like don't abide. They're like, no thanks. But maybe that's just Eastern Daylight Time, whatever.
Yeah, this is just time zones.
I feel like it's a trick question, and it's going to be the smallest state. I'm not going to give you any hints. I'm just going to don't give me any hints.
Work it out.
I'm going to say the way that Florida's shaped, that is the most likely. I'm going to say Florida.
That's the right answer. It's Florida. Yeah, because the Panhandle, right? The Western Panhandle is on Central Time. The rest of it's Eastern.
Yes. Now, but New Mexico, they split it off from Mexico. There's all kinds of stuff going on there. Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff.
There is. Now, I did not know this. In addition to Florida, there are a bunch of other states that have multiple time zones. This is a bonus question. Any guess how many other states have multiple time zones?
How many?
Yeah.
I mean, everything's so square in the prairies. So I'm going to say like there's 5, like right in the middle.
This is crazy. There are 12 more in addition to Florida.
My
so
God.
13 different states have. So Alaska, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Nebraska, Nevada, North Dakota, South Dakota, Oregon, Tennessee, and Texas. Texas is obvious, right? Because it's so big.
Yeah.
But that's great. I had no idea that there were that many. And Nevada's one of them. So guessing New Mexico wouldn't be all that off, right?
Right.
Nevada, it's just, ones that fall on those lines.
Right. So. And I forgot there's a great West Wing where they travel into some place that doesn't recognize daylight saving time. Like
I'm currently rewatching West Wing.
And they miss a plane because they're an hour late to get to the hangar, and it's because they've wandered into some county where it's actually 4 o'clock and not 5 o'clock.
That's an early 2000s problem. Before iPhones.
It's also a problem that you would only experience if you have a private jet waiting.
That's true.
Nobody's like, I only got 20 minutes to get to the airport. How am I going to get through TSA?
I was thinking about that yesterday because we watched the opening ceremony of the Olympics. We're recording this on Saturday after the opening ceremony of the Olympics. And Andrea Bocelli sang Nessun Dorma last night. Well, it was yesterday during the day, right? And then it aired here in the nighttime. And he's performing here in Columbus, Ohio tonight.
My God. Yeah.
That's crazy.
He's
an elderly blind man who they put on a horse during the show. That is not safe for an old man to be doing this. And so I was wondering if that's a private jet situation. Like I think most, touring musicians do not travel by private jet. But when you are that big and you're coming from Italy to the U.S. in one day to perform tonight, I wonder if when he accepted the gig at the Olympics, he said, I'll do it if you fly me to my gig in Ohio and, and then back to Italy afterward or something, because there's no way he's it's crazy.
That's
nuts. Sounds exhausting to me as a relatively young person, but geez. Anywho.
Yeah, well, we're in a phase of midlife where everything seems like a drag. So don't, you know what I mean? It's like being a 14-year-old who just got woken up at all times.
I feel that way. But then I see people, generally people younger than me and older than me, and maybe this speaks to your point of it being in a phase, that they act like this is their first day of life and everything is new and exciting. Mm-hmm. And I want to get to that point again, because I agree with you. And I don't know if it's just the way that a comedy brain works or something, but like I feel constantly tired about doing the smallest tasks. Last weekend I was supposed to perform in South Carolina at a military base, and because of the winter storm it got moved. And so I had this free weekend, and on Saturday, 1 week ago, I did nothing but go to the gun range. I went to the gun range. I spent an hour shooting. I came home. I cleaned my guns, locked them up in the safe, and I was exhausted. For the rest of the day, I did nothing. One hour leisure activity killed me for the day. What's happening to me? I'm 47, Dan. I should not be.
Well, one day the only reason you'll get up is to clean those guns. That's the day that's coming for you. Is that you're like, I'm just going to clean the.
Are you talking about the impending World War I?
Yep, the impending World War I, and it'll be the most important thing.
I hope
you'll feel so good about it.
I hope they call it World War I Part 2.
Yeah, that's yes.
That is going to confuse the people.
Everybody.
All right. Question 4. We're going to play for a favorite music recommendation. So if you get it wrong, you'll tell me about an artist you've been listening to. If you get it right, I'll tell you one.
Awesome.
What was the original reason that standardized time zones were adopted in the 1800s? Was it A, farming schedules, B, railroad timetables, or C, radio broadcasts?
All right. So it's tricky because I know that the watches and like clocks, etc., all had to be trains. Train time to catch your train. That was like a new thing when it started. So I'm gonna go trains, but I feel like I'm wrong and it's the third one. But I'm going trains.
Trust your gut. It's trains.
Trains.
Railroad timetables. They needed consistent schedules across different cities for very much the reason we were talking about with the West Wing example, right?
Yep.
They needed to push the creation of modern standardized timekeeping. Now, if we were talking about like daylight savings time, now we're talking about farming schedules.
Right.
That's the reason we still observe daylight savings time, is because farmers and kids going to school when it's not dark and all that. So.
Right. Yeah, I knew that it was trains. Yeah, and I just would love to live in a time prior to trains when everything was sort of like, get there around noon, and you just looked at the shadow underneath your body, and you're like, oh, I think it's noon. and you're just sort of 25 minutes late. Everything was running on New Orleans time. Where if you ever go to New Orleans, like I went to like a bar where I was going to meet some friends, and we are going to take the swing dancing lesson. And we showed up, and they were like, yeah, no one's here yet. It's probably driving, the traffic. There's like no traffic. They're like, oh, it's probably someone trying to take a streetcar here or whatever. We're going to start in like an hour and a half. So get a drink.
No.
And you're like, okay. And you just hang out in New Orleans.
That's so weird.
I love Southern time too.
I'm rereading, reading for the first time, I should say, Stephen King's 11/22/63. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you're, a Stephen King fan or if you ever have read that, but
I've never read that one. I did read The Shining very recently, and I've had an obsession with the JFK assassination. I've been there.
Gosh, then you would love this. And what started me interested in it was the Netflix series. They did a Netflix series of it starring James Franco, and it was fantastic. But there were so many questions I had that I knew that there would, and the book I'm doing this weird thing where I saw the movie first and then read the book. The book is so enjoyable after watching the show. The only problem with doing that is that you have this cast in your mind when you look at these characters, but that's not a huge deal for me. So anyway, the reason I brought that up was because it's mentioned multiple times. He doesn't have a phone in his pocket. He doesn't have he's got a nice watch to look at. And everything was so much simpler, so much easier and simpler. Not easier, maybe, but simpler. And anywho, so you got that right. So let me tell you about one of my favorite music recommendations. And I meant to talk about this last week with Tanya Vora. The person I've been listening to a lot of is a rapper named Prof, Prof.
No.
And what it is for me, it's like a kind of like a, I don't know, a nerdy white guy. Not nerdy. He's not nerdy, but by appearances, he looks that way. That's sort of his aesthetic. And the flow and the attitude is very, very unique to me. Like I just love it. I love and it helps if you are introduced to Prof by first watching some of his music videos, because then you get the whole aesthetic, and it helps a ton. But the writing is amazing. The beats are great. But what really brought me in was this whole attitude and flow that just felt like very, very fresh and unique. So Prof, Prof, check him out.
I will do that right after this. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you've done well. You're batting 500 for this one. And the next question and the final question is for all the marbles. If you get it right, you're invited back. If you get it wrong, banned. Here's your question. Dan Wilbur, what time of the day are you most productive?
Oh, God. What if the last question was, what is time? Just give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Tell me what it is. I had this discussion on another podcast recently that the coziest time for me is first thing in the morning, because I need coffee before anything happens, and I do my morning pages. But none of that I would call productive. Okay. I've never been able to leap out of bed and be productive. I can leap out of bed and get to the airport, but I can't leap out of bed and do anything but like the crossword and caffeinate. And I find that what happens to me, it depends on your definition of productive. Are you so happy you asked me this?
I am.
I think the most productive time for me, and I'm trying to accept it, is that I'm a night owl. And the most productive time for me is like my wife goes to bed, it's 11 p.m., and all I want to do is like watch a movie or read a book. And I have something that is nagging at me where I go, you didn't finish this thing. Why don't you do it now? And I will be up until 4 a.m. And it's because there's nothing else happening. And I think that the older I get, the more likely it will become that I start to wake up at around 5:30 a.m. and have those good hours when no one else is awake. And then I'll feel good the rest of the day. But instead, what I do as a 39-year-old married man is I feel bad all day. And then at 11, when my wife goes to bed, I go, oh shit, I had all that stuff to do. And I start doing dishes. And while I'm doing the dishes, I'm thinking of the jokes that I was going to edit into this piece. And I have shot the Vance video. So I start to write the jokes for the voiceover. And I go, oh, okay, all right. I think I got it now. And then I start to edit. And once you're editing, your life is over. You're in it.
Yeah.
It might as well be a video game that you're going to play until 5 a.m.
Right.
I'm just in it, editing
to get to the
for
next
hours
save
and hours
point.
and hours. So if you're looking for me, text me at 10:30 a.m. Be like, hey, what's up? You want to do this podcast? I'm like, yeah, I'm caffeinated. I'm sitting under a blanket. I feel good. But if you want to know, like, if you want to see me at my most productive, where I won't talk to you or react, it's like midnight to 3 a.m.
So it takes some isolation and it takes some quiet. I think that's why they talk about so many people have their best ideas in the shower, because it's sensory deprivation or sensory isolation, and you can't be distracted by your phone. And I know I come up with so many ideas in the shower. And it's not like I'm in there for 40 minutes. I'm taking a 5-minute, 10-minute shower, but there's something about sitting under the water. There's no sound other than the water. There's nowhere I can go. And my mind just goes to these awesome places that it can't go if I'm sitting in front of my email or whatever it might be.
Right.
So that's a great answer, by the way.
Absolutely.
I share with you that morning ritual, and I protect that very, very, very securely. I wake up at 7 in the morning, and between 7 and 8, I don't do any work. I don't check email, and I want to. A lot of the time, I'm sitting at my kitchen table, and I want to open my email, or I want to send that email or send that contract or whatever it might be. I purposely don't. And I heard this first described by Jeff Bezos as his piddle around time, or his piddle time, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And as I get older, up there in age, piddle time will mean something else. But for him, he does the same thing. There's like a series of hours in the morning where he does not want to be reached. He just wants to have recreational waking up time. And so I drink my coffee, I feed the dogs, I play Wordle, I play all the New York Times games that are free, and I basically just wake up in a slow and kind way. And it's so nice to do that. And you're right, when we have those early morning travel days, like, we don't get that, and it really disrupts you for the rest of the day if you don't have that routine.
I work in this bookstore, and if I have to open it that morning, it ruins the routine because I can't sacrifice like shows and stuff at night.
Right.
So if I or things I have to do at night, so it just cuts into sleep time and the time, the piddle time.
It's fantastic.
My piddle time.
Your piddle time. Well, if this were that type of podcast, I would title this episode "Piddle Time." But since it's not, it's something about China. So you guys go find Dan Wilbur on all his socials. Where do you recommend people look for your content these days?
If you want to see some good video content, it's at Dan Wilbur Comedy on TikTok and Instagram. That's probably the best
Wilbur
spots.
With a U-R.
Yes.
And so Dan Wilbur Comedy on TikTok. You can see Dan, and you probably have already seen Dan and didn't know it, impersonating J.D. Vance. He just happens to look like J.D. Vance from certain angles. And so he's capitalized on that by making some fantastic videos. So it's awesome, man. It's great to have you back.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
That's all for this week. Thanks to Tanya Vora for today's show topic, my friend Dan Wilbur for being my guest, and thanks to you for listening. Here's a kid who's going to be late to school no matter what the time zone.
Thank you for listening to The Internet Says It's True. To listen to episodes ad-free and a week early, support us on Patreon. You can do that at patreon.com/Michael Kent. If you learned something just now that you didn't already know, go to the Apple Podcast app and leave us a review with 5 stars and a few words. That helps us a ton, because that's how the algorithm works. I don't know what an algorithm is, but just do it! See you next week for a brand new episode of The Internet Says It's True!
The Internet Says It's True would like to thank the gold-level Patreon subscribers whose monthly contributions help make this show possible. Eugene Anderson, Jim and Joanne Martin, Richard Duvall, and the show's official Emperor Kick Track. The show is written and produced by me, Michael Kent. The theme song is by Finite Music Forge. All audio clips in this episode are used for education and commentary and used under Fair Use Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107. You can listen to past episodes by searching for The Internet Says It's True wherever you get your podcasts, and you can see bonus content at patreon.com/Michael Kent.